Boom, boom, boom. This is Jared and I'm back. Hey guys, I'm so excited. We've got another exciting episode. Tonight we've got a great show. Man, I'm super amped. I'm so excited to do this tonight. Again, I'm your host, Jared A. Brown, and Warriors Quest is live. Man, all right, everybody, please share this because you're in for a treat. Okay, I've got a great co-host. I'm going to try to do my best to introduce and hopefully do anything that I say do him justice in some way, because he's got a great story. I'm going to introduce Mark Sandy. All right, he's beat cancer, heart failure, a struggle that encompassed 3 open heart surgeries, including 2 LVAD surgeries and a heart transplant surgery, and surgery to remove a cancerous tumor on his kidney, and much more. All right. He's also a member of Healing Hearts of Central Ohio, and an administrator of both LVAD Friends and LVAD Strong Facebook pages, and much more. All right. Straight from West Virginia, I'm going to bring on Mark Sandy. Welcome to Warriors Quest, Mark.
G'day, mate. Oh, I got a glare on the old. There you go. That's a little.
Just a little bit.
Yep, straight from West Virginia.
West Virginia, man.
Yeah.
I could hardly recognize your accent from West Virginia.
You know what? I lived in the mountains for many years. I got on eBay, found this little site where I paid a lot of money for this accent. That's what happened.
Nice, very nice. Well, Mark, man, I'm excited to have you on. You've watched some of the other shows from Urban Health Outreach Media Network, and you have an inspiring story of your own. Would you please kind of introduce yourself to everyone and give us a synopsis of why you do what you do and how you've come to where you're at right now?
Yeah. Okay. Well, as you can tell, West Virginia was a bit of a fib. I actually originally came from England. Been here for nearly 20 years. Got married, had a child, worked here. Suddenly, one day, I had kind of a flu feeling. Ended up to be cardiomyopathy. So instead of going to my throat and actually giving the like a flu virus, which is not the best time to say about flu, but it actually was a strep throat virus that went to my heart. That then basically started attacking my heart, and over the years it just got worse. I had a couple of stents. After it must have been just coming up to the end of 2012, I felt terrible, and I went to the hospital. And unfortunately, I didn't have any health insurance at the time, so they never gave me a CAT scan. Not a CAT scan, a heart cath. If they would have given me a heart cath, then I think they probably would have seen what was happening. What happened was my stent collapsed. So the blood flow stopped going to my heart. That was the end of it. Basically, by the time I got to the second hospital, and thanking Berger Hospital in Circleville, they kept me alive. The fire department was great. But they managed to get me from there to a hospital in Columbus, who kept me alive overnight. Ended up going to Cleveland. They put me in an induced coma. I ended up having an LVAD, which is a left ventricular device, which basically, funny enough, I just happened to have one. Let's
see it.
This is what was stitched into my heart. So you've basically got blood flow going through, and in the middle is actually the pump. This is actually the size. This is a replica of.
Are you serious? That's the actual size?
that is the actual size. So the company, I talked to them and said, I want to teach kids about this. While I've got this, I want to show kids what this looks like. So when it came, and I joked like a jokester I am, I said, once you're done with it, you can actually use it as an old telephone. Which the kids didn't know because there's not a telephone like it anymore. So
Right.
stitched into the heart. They actually put 2 holes in the heart, stitch it, and it goes around. And if you take a microphone up to your chest, you can hear this. So if anybody's ever watched Iron Man,
that is just incredible.
That is the Hollywood version of what I had. So that was a big life.
That is crazy.
Yeah, and that was a big life changer.
Yeah.
If there had been a heart available right at that point, then I probably would have had a heart. You have to go through an evaluation, whatever else. So I then spent a couple of years, it's kind of a tricky thing. You have to be careful what you eat, what you drink. You can't drink too much, then you don't drink enough. And so then that was from Cleveland. So we then came to OSU, which is about half an hour away from us instead of 3 hours. And Ohio State University is awesome place. Unfortunately, I think I had a liver issue, something which took me into the hospital. They'd done a routine check. And while I was in there, my alarm went off on my LVAD. So it literally, when it goes off, the only time it goes off is when it stops. I'm like, whoa. Of all the places I need to be, right here, right
while
now.
You're in the hospital.
While I'm in there, yes. And funny enough, the first time it went off, my pastor had come into the room. So I'm like, whoa, I think you're here for a reason.
Yeah, that's quite a coincidence.
Exactly. So they actually told me, my surgeon said, look, I'm going to try every way to get you to get on that list as soon as possible. I'd already been on the list. I got taken off, put back on. Actually, I took a step back for someone else to take the heart that I was supposed to get. Because I thought, what, this woman is going to she's going to die, so she needs it. Anyhow, I then said, I've got a pain in my side as well. They scanned it. They found a shadow on my kidney. And that's why I find this kidney thing incredible, how I've come around from the heart now to the kidney, to something else. So they found kidney cancer. It was an encapsulated,
oh my gosh,
encapsulated tumor.
Wow.
But the minute you say the word cancer and you're on the heart transplant list, you're off the list.
You're off.
You're off. Yeah. So you then have to wait at least 2 to 5 years to get back on the list.
Yeah.
Which really, it's absolutely devastating. It was like, I give up. This is terrible. So at the same time,
were you on blood thinners? To kind of
when I was on the LVAD. Crazy thing though that what happened, because the LVAD was broken, it had to be fixed. So I had to get that fixed at the Christmas time. It's Christmas 16, I think it was. And then in July of that year, 17, I had the cancer taken out. So I actually became my own advocate and said, okay, I need to get back on the list. And they said, my surgeon said, I can't help you. He said, you'll have to go to the surgeons, heart surgeons, and basically say, okay, I've got to get back on this list. I've been waiting so long. Help me out here. So I actually became my own advocate. I couldn't just sit around.
Good for you.
So that was another learning thing. It was like, okay, now I've got to deal with cancer. Now I've got another little card that I can go, oh, I'm the Cancer Society now as well.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So the other good thing about an LVAD is you can get into concerts and stand at the front with the disabled people, which is fantastic. I saw some really good bands because it gets you in.
It sounds brilliant.
But it's a very scary thing. It's depression, anxiety. Yes. I laugh about it, but I think that's probably the only way you can get through it. But
sure.
So I had my second LVAD, and then unfortunately, I believe it was nearly coming up for a year. They gave me a scan and everything else, and they happened to find there was a blood clot actually in the LVAD. And when you tell a LVAD patient you have a blood clot, you're basically, it's doom. It's doom.
Oh my gosh! Wow. Yeah.
So believe it or not, they said, "Hey, go on vacation for a week, fly to Florida, and then when you come back, we'll have a look." So I went to Florida. Very stressful. Came back. 7 days later, being admitted in the hospital, I got a new heart. So
Oh, wow.
then the kidney problem happened. I'd had kidney issues before with the second LVAD, but it basically had failure. I'd had to go into dialysis. Now I have stage 3 chronic kidney disease. So now I'm going to deal with that as well. So it's there's lots of other things that happened. It's if you look in a medical journal and you look up for Mark Sandy, I'm in there somewhere. It's about a page and a half.
Yeah, but that's quite a bit that you've been, a lot's been shoved over on your plate, so to speak. That's a lot to go through.
Yeah, and people, when you've had the transplant, they said it would take a year to actually become normal again, normal-ish, because you're really trading one for another problem.
Yeah. It's a new normal, right?
It was tough. It's probably been a year and a half that it was tough. I've only really just come out to the point where, okay, I still get a few little issues, but they had me on. I actually inherited a virus from the heart.
Are you serious?
Yeah, which was kind of strange. Someone said to me, how do you feel with this? Do you realize that you've got someone else's heart? I'm like, yeah, because they're with me every single day. Every beat.
Yeah.
It's not me. But that's a present that actually did stop giving. So I got rid of it. But the medication made me very, very sick, to the point where I
made you pretty ill. Wow.
And vomit. Yeah, it was. So, but you know what? I am very blessed. I've done a lot of things that I've seen things now that I never saw before. Like now, a lot of people, because they're on lockdown, you tell a lot of people to look outside and suddenly the trees are green. I suddenly saw that. It's like, where have I been for 40-something years, So
it sounds like it's really changed you. It changed your outlook.
Yes, completely changed. Yeah. But so that's my very short story.
Well, I realize it's a short version, and I appreciate you coming on Warriors Quest, because we've got a special guest that I want to bring on. I say that, and that's not giving her the respect that she's due, but I have so much admiration and so much respect for the special guest. I'm going to bring on Kim. Kim, welcome. All right, all the way from Kansas, Kim Shufelberger. You've been on Warriors Quest before, but so much has happened in your life and just in our world in general since the last time you've been on. Thanks for coming on Warriors Quest again. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome, man. So, for those of you for those followers and people that have not been familiar with your story, why don't you introduce yourself as well, and let's get them introduced to you in regards to how your miracle in your life has made you stronger. Okay.
Okay. Do you want me to share how I found out about my kidney disease?
I would love that, because it's truly inspirational. And I think that in this day and age right now where we're struggling, I think anytime we can give hope and inspiration, it's a powerful thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm more than happy to share it. I might cry, but I'll share it.
Okay. All right.
Back in 2006, I found out that I was pregnant, which I wanted to be, and I was extremely happy about it. Few weeks after finding out that I was pregnant, I was very sick. Didn't know what it was. And so one of my family members had 3 sets of twins. And I thought, well, I guess I'm having twins. So I asked my OBGYN to do a sonogram. And they came back and said, nope, you're just having one baby. And I'm like, okay, then what's going on? Basically, my OBGYN called me one day at work. It's a call I will never forget. She said, you have early signs of preeclampsia, which I had no idea what that meant. I just knew it probably wasn't good. And I'm referring you to a kidney doctor. And I thought, well, never been pregnant before. Maybe this is normal. It's not normal. I went to the kidney doctor and heard the words that, like, it's forever ingrained in my head. He said, you were never supposed to have a baby. You have stage 2 kidney disease. Well, she's right over here. She's 13 and she's just such a miracle. It was a very difficult pregnancy. The only way I got through it was because of Jesus. She's 13 and a half. So back when I was pregnant, I did not see the miracle that God had did. And now it blows me away. When you're not supposed to have a child and then God allows it, it's just an absolute miracle to me. My OB said that she would not be over 6 pounds due to my chronic illness. Well, God said, we'll see about that. And she was 8 pounds, 5 ounces. I did deliver her 10 days early because my kidneys were failing in the pregnancy. So it's been a crazy ride. I've had this disease that I know of for at least 13 years. So I went from stage 2 and now I'm stage 4. My GFR currently is 18%. So it's been a roller coaster.
Wow. That is seriously so inspirational. I mean, to hear that you weren't even supposed to have the baby, you know, and to hear that not only did you have the baby, but it was more weighed 8 pounds and defied what they thought that was supposed to be. I mean, it just defied their logic. And man, thank you for sharing that. That's so inspirational. And again, in a day and age right now where we need hope and inspiration, that is so necessary. Thank you so much for sharing that.
You're welcome.
So help me understand how this has totally changed your life right now. Help me understand, you know, how this miracle, this gift of that has been given to you, how that's shaped you and made you who you are right now.
You know, honestly, I've had people say to me, I just don't know why you haven't walked away from your faith. And my answer is I haven't walked away because Jesus gave me a child. I think it might be different if he had not given her to me. But for God to do that, I can't walk away from my faith. I mean, that's the biggest thing that he could ever do. So yeah, there's no way I would walk away from my faith. I mean, I look at her and sometimes she kind of thinks I'm crazy because I stare at her, but I'm like, even at 13 and a half years old, I'm like, I can't believe what God did. I just can't believe it. So yeah, I would never walk away from my faith. And trust me, I have really hard days.
Sure.
I have really hard days. So
right. I think Mark,
you what?
I think Mark understands, you know, having struggling through kidney disease is not easy.
No. And there are a lot of people that don't understand what I'm going through, which, you know, that's okay. But on the other side, people need more educated about it. I get told a lot that I look fine. I can still work. I can still do things. And, you know, I'm sure people are like, well, how's she doing this with this disease? And I'm like, by the grace of God, because there are some people that have this disease and they can't work.
Right.
I'm still able to go on walks every day. And it's only by the grace of God that I can do that. Sure.
But it doesn't mean, and I think that sometimes is why people misunderstand, you know, that and think that maybe you're not as ill as you might, you know, make it out to be. However, that's why they call it the silent killer. In many ways, they call it the silent killer. You know, kidney disease, it sometimes will sneak up on you, and then when you do have it, it is still, you know, very silent in many ways because it can disrupt your lives. In a kind of a silent way, because you can look on, you know, very outwardly, you know, like you're okay, but then your memory isn't as good as it used to be, or maybe you have fatigue, or, you know, there are different things that you may experience that your appearance physically may not necessarily, you know, may not even show. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and I was naive too, back when they said I had stage 2 and when I even went into stage 3, like I didn't really fully understand what I was going through.
Yeah.
And I was naive, and I guess I never thought that I would decline as much as I had. And I did get tested. I was at a kidney walk, and I went up to the hospital because they had like a little like tent there. And I said, hey, you know, can I get tested? And they said, yes, anything under 30% GFR, you can get tested. And I think I was at like 26. So I started my testing then. And it's a lot of testing. But I honestly never thought that I would go on the transplant list.
Yeah.
I never thought I would.
And is that because you just didn't understand that, you know, that the disease would progress or degress, however you want to look at it, as much as it has during that time period? Or
yeah, actually, November 2019, I had gotten blood work done for my kidney doctor. And the hospital sends you like a little tube, and they put blood in it, and then you FedEx it off to the hospital. And I had forgotten to do that. And I called my hospital and I said, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. They said, no problem. We'll send in a lab work. Just go right after work. I'm like, okay. Well, the next day I got a phone call from my coordinator, and she was all excited. She's like, congratulations, you're on the transplant list. And I'm like, no, I think you have the wrong lab work. That's not me. And I literally said that to her. And she said, no, your GFR dropped to 18.6. And I was devastated. I was
wow,
like,
yeah.
I was like, most people in that moment probably would have seen the blessing in it.
Yeah.
No, I didn't at that time.
Sure.
I was devastated.
Yeah, that could be pretty discouraging, you know, and that's exactly, you know, why education and awareness is so important. Mark, you know, wouldn't you say that's the reason why this needs to be, you know, that this information needs to be out there? Because people seem to think that, you know, that the kidney disease patients and kidney warriors, they don't look sick, and that they, you know, and all of a sudden you have somebody like Kim whose GFR dropped, you know, sort of rapidly. So what's your take on that?
What does GFR stand for?
It's your kidney function.
Okay.
I don't know what it stands for. I just know.
See, they do the same to me, where it's my ear fraction.
Okay, right. Okay.
I was like, what's an ear fraction? Knowing that the average is 60, the average person is 60, and mine was 12. I was like, what? Mine's 12 and it's supposed to be 60? So, yeah. Now I understand. But it's funny when you ask people that in hospital, well, what does that mean? And the patients are like, I don't know, but it's bad.
Right.
Yep.
But yeah,
I forget exactly what it stands for, but Kim's right. It's the kidney function, and when, you know, and so if you're, you know, so generally speaking, when people, it varies, you know, when you see a nephrologist, and it varies on what doctor you have, but on an average, people that have about 11%, you know, 11% GFR, generally they go to dialysis at that range. Sometimes it's less, you know, and sometimes it's more. Like sometimes people go when they're 15%, and sometimes even 20. But on an average, it's about 11. It depends, though.
So the lower the better.
The higher the better. Yes, the higher the better.
Okay.
Yes.
I probably should know that because they put me on dialysis. So.
That's all right. You know, we're all learning.
That's right. I was.
There we go. Longer filtration rate.
All right. Nice.
There's the GFR.
But it's very interesting for me to learn about you and what you've gone through, because you do look at people and it's like that. She's never gone through that. She's never. I mean, it's crazy. The craziest thing is I still have a disabled tag in my car, and when I get out of there in the disabled spot, people will look. I feel so bad sometimes. I have to limp just to kind of like, well, I just come back from Iraq or something, or because I look normal, and it is crazy. Luckily, most people know me, but they're actually this afternoon.
Right.
Someone looked at me, especially I had a mask on and a hat, and they're like, "What are you doing there?" you shouldn't be there. That should be for an old person. So there you go. But yeah, that's it's very inspirational.
So Kim, do you know approximately what your GFR is right now?
The last it was checked was 18. So
18. Okay.
The lowest I've been, which shocked me, was last October when I started all my workup for the transplant list again. It dropped to 15. So it's just really, I'm just a very emotional person anyway. So there's just so many days that I just cry. Like I literally, because now when I was on the transplant list before, I was not active. So I never had to be like, okay, when's my phone call going to come? Well, I'm active now.
Right.
So I have to, I have to keep myself busy. I have to just worship. Because I mean, I'm a single parent. So I'm like, okay, God, you know, I know his timing's perfect. So I know it's going to happen when he says it's going to happen. But I know your life changes after transplant too. So it's one chapter now, and then that chapter is going to close, and then I'll have a whole brand new one. But I want to live for her. So it's
right.
And she doesn't fully understand. I mean, the other day I was like, hey, you know, we haven't been getting out. And I said, hey, you know, I can get sick if we go out. And she's like, well, I can get sick faster than you. And I'm like, I don't think so, sweetheart. But bless her heart, she doesn't understand, and I don't expect her to. I think she just knows that her mom is sick and will need a kidney transplant to live. I don't really think a lot of people understand that how so important your kidneys are.
No, they don't.
They don't important.
Yeah, and what's interesting is to hear the connection with, you know, that the kidney has to the heart. And this is, you know, what I've learned with Mark Sandy here is that the kidney and the heart are so connected, you know, and it's everybody, you know, deals with this a little bit differently, but the common denominator that I see is that it is, you know, the ups and downs, okay, is one of the common things that I see with every kidney disease patient, every kidney warrior. There are ups and downs. You know, there's going to be a day where you're up. There's going to be a day that you're down. There's going to be a day that you're going to be rejoicing, okay? And you're going to be praising God because you're finding something to praise about. And then there's going to be a day that maybe you're going to get discouraged again. There are ups and downs. And that's what I learned with my sister-in-law, Kim, is that, you know, I saw her down days so many times. And so I was the cheerleader, you know, for my twin brother and for my sister-in-law. And so, you know, I took that on with you. Okay. And when you have the down days, you know, what inspires me is that you're looking, you know, for God to help you, and you're trying to do your best to stay strong. And I love that. I do. Okay. So help me understand maybe some of the things that you do to stay up when maybe there's a down day.
I've had a lot of down days lately. This isolation's like nothing new to me. I isolate myself, and I did before because people don't understand. So this is nothing. I mean, people are complaining that they want everyone to open up, and I'm like, yeah, well, try waiting on a transplant. I mean, come on, people. But I have had a lot of down days lately, and I tend to not want to talk to people. So I will go for a walk because it clears my head, and I listen to a lot of worship music. It's just very comforting, and that's about it. I mean, there's really not a whole lot I can do because I don't go anywhere. So, but walking definitely clears my mind. And since I can still do it now, I do get worn out, so I have to push myself to get through it. But I always do get through it. So, and then I take a nap.
Then you take a nap. That's not a bad thing, though.
Yeah. It wears me.
You know your limits. You know limits. Knowing your limits. That's a good thing. So, Mark, we've got somebody watching here, Shauna Adams Conway. I don't know if you saw that comment, but she says, Mark Sandy is an inspiration to all who meet him. God saved him for a reason. He's got lots of work to do.
I paid her a lot of money to put that comment on.
Yes, paid off.
She actually, she met me and my wife at our local hospital. I'd already had my LVAD, and I had to go in for some reason. And when you have an LVAD, your pulse is really not there. You can hardly feel your pulse. Your heart is so weak that basically the LVAD is giving your heart a vacation. It's making it a little better. It's, so when you go for the transplant, it's a little stronger. So Shauna was actually, I don't know where she was then, but she's a charge nurse in the ER.
Oh wow, okay.
So she is, I'm like, Shauna, I'm coming in, So first time we met her, she came out to the bed and said to my wife, "What's this I hear about? You can't get a blood pressure." So my wife said, "He doesn't have a pulse." Everybody has a pulse. And at that point, it was like, whoa, this is one of those, crazy nurses. Well, believe it or not, she's one of my best friends. She's one of our best friends now. We do a lot of donate life for the hospital. It's crazy. She then actually was in the hospital, and it was something like this when on Facebook we do the messenger, and the whole ER team were in front of me, and it was like, you know what, you just have to cry. You're in there for 3 months, just stuck in this room, just like, oh my God, is this, am I ever going to leave? Sick, surrounded by terrible things. And everybody knows when I'm going to get better, because suddenly I'm back on Facebook. Mark's disappeared for 3 months, and suddenly 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, I'm alive. So yeah, Sean was there at 4 o'clock in the morning with the team. So yeah.
She says you're a horrible IV stick.
Wow. I didn't pay you to write that. Yeah, that's true. That's my veins, like as soon as it sees a hospital, the veins disappear. So that's tough. And believe it or not, and you probably know this, a little IV hurts like crazy sometimes. I just, I think to myself, the surgeon has taken my heart out, put a new one in, and they've done all this other stuff, but yet a little tiny needle on the day that you're feeling really crappy hurt like nobody's business. It's
wow.
Yeah, and fatigue as well. Fatigue, the IV thing is sitting there, and you were just saying about walking, and sometimes you really want to walk, but it's like, no, I can't do that.
Yeah, I hear you about the needles. I see these 15 gauge needles that these kidney disease patients, I have to deal with when they're on dialysis. That is nothing, that I want. And I can only imagine, what they go through when they have to deal with the 15 gauge needle.
Kim, do you have dialysis, 2 or 3 times a week?
I'm not on dialysis.
Oh, you're not on dialysis. Okay.
I am not.
So how does that work?
My GFR, since it's 18, when I saw my kidney doctor, I think I saw him in March. He said that I'm not ready, and that I'm not swollen. And I guess a lot of people are like, "Well, be really careful about that." I'm like, "Well, I trust my doctor. I've never been swollen, so I see my kidney doctor again in June." And if they say I don't need dialysis right now, I have to trust that I don't. So, I'm still, this is going to sound bad. I still urinate. Although I've been told that I'm urinating really nothing. And I'm like, well, then why urinate? Seriously.
It's not filtering out the toxins well.
Yeah.
The toxins are still in there. Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm like, well, this sucks. Yeah. It's silly to say, but I'm like, if there's no toxins.
No, it's kind of a tease. Yeah, it's kind of teasing you. Yeah.
No, because I remember in hospital, I had the bag at the bottom of the bed, and when suddenly I started urinating, which I hate to say this, but when you have a catheter, it's the nicest thing where you just sit there like, great. What I need now is a nice cold drink.
It's a relief.
Some shrimp and stuff, and then when I started peeing, the excitement of like, oh my goodness, he's urinating. So it's kind of
Isn't that crazy how we get excited when we do that, and people don't understand that when you're not they take for granted, number one, if they're healthy, and it's like anything can happen. I had no idea that I was even sick until I got pregnant. And it's like, what? Like, and it's just crazy. I just pray that nobody takes their health for granted, and that the people that I know, or anybody out there watching, I just pray that nobody has to wait on a transplant, because it is hard.
It is.
It's just hard.
Terrible. Yeah. Yeah. Because I went from the start of 2013 until 2018 waiting for, and surgery after surgery after surgery. I mean, it was never, nothing ever. Yeah. I kind of got, and it makes you very depressed. And I'll be honest, and I say this to people, I'm very honest about it. There were days when I had my LVAD. I learned, I mean, by the amount of time I've spent in the hospitals and learned so much, I should have a doctorate of, Dr. Mark of whatever. Because with the LVAD, I would sit on the side of my bed just having these terrible nightmares and wake up and think, the easiest thing to do here is click the switch, take the power off, and I'm done.
Be all finished. Yeah.
But then you think to yourself, no, I don't want to do that. I've got my son, I've got my wife, I've got life, and then eventually I will have a heart. But then when you get the heart, and this is obviously something that's you got to be prepared for, because this is your hero. This is like the most amazing thing. I mean, it's you can't. There's no other gift. I mean, I never thought. Someone said to me, would you ever think that this would ever happen? I'm like, no.
Well, those thoughts are real, and I know it's not. And thank you for sharing it, because I understand it may not be easy always to share those thoughts and those feelings. But that roller coaster of emotions, it's what I alluded to earlier. That is real. It's raw and it's real. So the question that we've had is one of our sponsors, and I didn't do a good enough job at the beginning of the show to talk about one of our sponsors, but one of our sponsors is Renadil. And down at the bottom of the screen, it reads Renadil.com, and it has information about Renadil. Have you ever heard about Renadil, Kim?
Nope.
So Renadil is a supplement. It's not approved by the FDA. So it's in fact, let me go back to, so it hasn't yet been evaluated by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, and they're not, the products made by Kibo, which is the company that makes Renadil. It's not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. However, with that being said, there have been people that have been on Renadil, and it may, people that have low functioning kidney or renal deficiency, things of that nature, it may actually help your kidney function. And the way it does is it actually works kind of like it dialyzes you, where it actually breaks down the toxins and does that for you. So it's working a lot like dialysis. It's going to filter out the toxins. So Renadil does that. It does it through microbes. And so if you'd like more information about that, Kim, that we've got some, we can send you and redirect you to Renadil, and they've got some great information in regards to, they've got some great reviews from people that have taken it, and you can read about their reviews as well.
I might consider it. All the stuff that I'm on now, I think is keeping me as stable as possible. That there was a dialysis nurse, because I had to go, my kidney doctor 3 years ago wanted me to go see one just for information. And I was like, okay, I'll go. And she put me on a kidney vitamin. And I guess I was lacking every vitamin that your body needed, because I went from being really weak every day to basically bursting with energy. And I called the pharmacy and I said, what's going on? I have more energy than I've had in years. And they basically said that my body was just lacking vitamins. And so I faithfully take that every day. But I'll definitely consider it. I think just with me being a single parent, I'm just really skeptical of stuff. You know what I mean? But I was going to ask you, Mark, and like something that I've struggled with lately is people like to make comments to me. And, you know, we all, whether you have an illness or anything, we all go through some kind of suffering or something. And somebody said to me, which I'm getting kind of past it, but they said, well, at least you don't have cancer.
Oh my gosh.
And that was the most hurtful thing. It's like, no, I don't, but I have something that could take my life.
Yeah.
And basically there was somebody in the room that had had cancer. And the conversation went from me discussing my stuff with my kidney disease to completely talking about cancer. And I thought, okay, you know what? Enough. This has to get out there, that this is not something that I take lightly. I mean, I don't think I'm ever going to forget that comment, because my suffering is different than
it's hurtful.
Suffering. Oh,
yeah.
I just kind of was like, why would you say that?
Wow.
Yeah.
It's so hurtful.
Because people say things, it's like there's a lack of common sense. I would say the generation probably below, I don't know, I think the oldest one here, and I'm probably the stupidest one, but
come on.
But there is a lack of common sense, and I think that's where the education, that's why I'm getting involved. I mean, you know, Jared, you know, is nicely invited me on here, and I'm with another, I don't know if you've heard of the Why Not Foundation, which I'm on a Zoom meeting tomorrow with them. They're kidney, they're all kidney recipients, and they're advocating for
awesome.
Kids. Awesome. Absolutely amazing, and I'm so glad I'm doing this. But when someone says to you about cancer, it's like, because cancer there's so many different cancers, and it's like, but you know what? You can probably beat that. If my heart stops and I'm kind of done, you know what I mean? It's like, it is very, the bad thing is that when I was told that I probably had cancer, my first screening was in Cleveland Clinic. So I actually, with one of my doctors, looked on the screen of my CT scan and found where my cancer was. So I was actually on there with him. It's like, oh, there it is. It's now bigger than it was before. And I think that's just me. It's like, you know what? I cried. I remember my heart transplant surgeon looked at me and said, you know, I'm sorry, it's cancer. I'm like, shit. Well, I don't know. What do I do now? I mean, it was sad, but yeah, it's like, okay, let's forget about the cancer. Let's just forget about it. And, you know, I actually don't talk about it enough, because the cancer was encapsulated. It was taken out. It's gone. I'm done. Let's worry about my transplant stuff. I looked out the window of the hospital I was in, and the size of the cancer hospital was 4 times as big. And it's like, it's got this big C on it.
Yes.
Like, oh my God.
Right.
There's a few people that are waiting for kidneys and hearts and livers, and it is. Right. You mustn't let that get to you.
Yeah, you know, and I understand, Kim. I can only try to imagine, I should say, you know, how frustrating and discouraging that might be for you, Kim, because kidney disease is the 9th leading cause of death among diseases. Okay, so it's underrated as far as being just something that needs to be feared, and something that does cause people to buckle down on their knees because of either emotional pain, physical pain, and other sort of emotions that they may have to go through. People that have, you know, that don't want to live. People that are in depression because they don't know how they're going to make it. People that go to dialysis, because their kidney isn't functioning. People that aren't urinating, at all. And people that, if they didn't go to dialysis, they wouldn't live, because that's their life support.
Right.
And there are days where even though it is their life support, they sometimes don't want to go to dialysis because of the 15 gauge needle, or they don't want to go to dialysis because when they do, they go there and it's an environment of depression, because it's a room full of people that are sick,
Yes.
and it's a reminder of their disease. Okay, this is something that maybe people don't want to talk about. We're talking about it right now because it's real. Okay, and kidney disease is real. All right, and I talk about it because it has affected my sister-in-law. It's affected many of the people that I advocate for, and it affects people like you, Kim, that I respect and admire your strength and your toughness. And you are a pillar of strength to many people, and I understand that those are hurtful comments. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to lift you up, because you have an enormous spirit, Kim. You light up the room, okay? You can just your spirit, okay, is tremendous. And I know God loves you. And I know that he has given you this miracle of a daughter. And I know that there is a plan that God has for you. And I know that he's always going to love you, and he's going to give you as much support as possible. So these people that are saying these comments, okay, they're ignorant. Yep. Okay, what I mean by ignorant is they don't know any better. Right. Okay, and if they do know better and they're still saying it, then they're belligerent, and they're wrong for saying those things. But sometimes it is that they don't know any better, and that's why we need the awareness. That's why we need the education, because it's real.
Yeah,
that's why you're sitting here.
And you know what's funny is I believe they're on here because I've seen a couple people say hi to me. There are 3 people that keep in touch with me on a regular basis, and I've only met one of them once. The other 2 live in different states, and I met them on Instagram. They don't know me, and they've been such a support.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And there's nobody here that nobody that keeps in touch with me to ask how I'm doing.
Yeah.
And these precious people do. And I'm so thankful. They don't know me personally, and I hope to get to know them one day.
Yeah. But there's still a connection.
But yeah,
that connection's real.
They've actually all had transplants, so I'm a little jealous. Love you too, Morgan. Yeah, I mean, you just meet these incredible people, and hopefully someday I'll meet them, because they've been my support system, and I have never met them. Well, Cindy, I have. Cindy's on here too. I have met Cindy once.
Well, see, now Shauna's saying you're beautiful, and she's adding your name to her prayer chain.
I must have given Shauna a lot of money tonight. She's obviously got nothing better to do than watch me.
Yeah.
I saw a question. I think it was there she is, Audrey.
Yes.
She asked what stage I'm in. I'm in stage 4, so I'm at the end of stage 4.
Yeah.
Close to stage 5. So.
Oh, so there's a stage 5.
Yes.
That's end stage.
It's ESRD, end stage renal disease. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you see, I only asked that is because when I first got sick, my wife took me to the Social Security office, and they said to me, the lady said to me, I had the LVAD, and she said, we can only give you this disability if you have end stage renal. And I'm like, well, I have end stage heart failure. So
right.
What do I have to prove this? So I told her about this machine. So I said, well, what does the machine do? I said, well, if you unplug this, then unfortunately you're going to have to call the squad because I'll be dead. So can you do it now? So that was, and that's how, when someone comes up to you and said about cancer and everything, and it will take you a while, but I think just because because I've got a very warped sense of humor, I have to find something to come back at them lightheartedly. I mean, I'm not going to fight fire with fire, but just say something like, not make them look stupid, but there is an ignorance, and that's why I'm trying to do what I'm doing by saying to people, ask the question. Don't be afraid to ask people questions. I mean, you don't look sick. I don't look sick. It's don't ever be afraid.
I am not a confrontational person.
No.
So I don't say anything. I remember I remember when that moment happened. It's been a while. I literally walked away because I'm like, if I can't stand here. But I actually don't have any family support. My dad died when I was 26. And I actually didn't talk to him. Oh my gosh, for like 10 years before he died.
Oh, wow.
And my mom hasn't talked to me in 2.5 years. And so I'm really struggling with that.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it sucks. It was her choice.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, now I'm going to be really honest. Has that had anything to do with your illness?
That is a great question, Mark.
Well, from what I'm in therapy, I had a meltdown at work like 6 months ago where everything like came to the surface, and I'm 43. So I'm like, I was hiding everything down, and all of a sudden at work, I'm like, oh my gosh,
just
what's going
came
on?
to a head.
I mean, it just was like, it hit me. And luckily my therapist, she does not work for my school district, but she was at the school.
Yeah.
I went down, I just met her, and I was bawling. I was diagnosed with, it's called FSGS. It's basically it's when your kidneys are,
I'm familiar with it.
Yeah. It's when your
FSG, I've never heard of that.
It's when your kidneys are permanently scarred.
Oh, okay.
And it's an autoimmune disease. And basically my therapist said that she thinks that it stems from trauma in my childhood. Now, I don't know that. Yeah, I don't know that. But
I don't know.
I mean, whether or not it stems from my childhood, I don't know. I don't really care. But it's just, and actually I had a kidney biopsy in February of 2007. It was right after Lexi was born. And they found it then, but they told me they didn't find anything. So I'm like, okay, I don't need to know why I have kidney disease. I don't care.
No,
I
you just know you have it.
Yeah. So then when I was at the hospital in October, they're like, oh, and you have FSGS. And I go, I have what? And they're like, you have FSGS. And I remember nothing that they said after that. Not a word. I just kept saying, what is FSGS? They said, well, we found that in your biopsy. And I'm like, this is 2019. That was in 2007.
Yeah.
Why am I just being told this?
Hearing about it now. Yeah.
I went into a depression for about 4 days because I'm like, okay, so I have this chronic kidney disease, which I'm going to need a kidney. But then I also have permanently scarred kidneys. What's next? You know, I mean, it's like, you just have to, I didn't even know what to think, and I still don't, but I mean, it is what it is. So
it is what it is. Yeah. You know, a kidney warrior here, Audrey, Bella Langston, she's been on Warrior's Quest just recently, and she has FSGS. It's focal segmental.
Yep.
That's all. And that's a mouthful right there. But
I can't say it.
I don't know that I can say it either, but yeah. But yes, the lovely Audrey Bella Langston's been on our show recently, and she has that. I've also, you know, there's many other kidney warriors that have had it as well. And, you know, from what I understand, there have been studies, but I don't know that there has been any sort of conclusion in regards to what exactly causes it. I've never been told exactly what causes it. You know what I mean? So it may be different and it varies from each person, but there's not just one thing that causes it. You know what I mean? At least that's what I've understood.
Yeah. And my, when I met with one of the surgeons at St. Luke's here in Kansas City, cause somebody asked me where I lived. I live in Olathe actually. The surgeon basically told me, that I can have a transplant, but the autoimmune disease is going to attack it. So they said that I could possibly be in the hospital a little bit longer, and have to have therapy. And I was like, well, whatever we have to do. I'm just glad that they didn't say, hey, since you have this disease, you can't have
it. Yeah.
A transplant.
That's not the case. Yeah. I'm going to share this right here, but it says Mary Florence Reinhardt Kloern. Hopefully I've said the last name well. It looks like a very German last name, which I lived in Germany for a couple of years. So I may be saying, hopefully I'm saying that right, but she's saying that she was starving and going through end-stage renal disease and received a transplant kidney and pancreas after 8 months of being on dialysis. And She says, I really understand all that you're talking about, and my prayers are with you that a transplant comes through quickly. It's very difficult going through kidney disease, and I can very much empathize with you. Thank you. Thank you, Mary. It's very encouraging. It's so powerful, you guys, when somebody can relate and understands, what you're going through, right? Because it adds to a community. It adds to a unity. And as humans, okay, wouldn't you all agree that as humans, okay, when we feel like somebody relates and somebody understands, it helps us feel stronger. You know what I mean? We don't feel like we're alone anymore because somebody else, okay, Mary knows what you're going through. And then Audrey, Bella Langston, the beautiful Audrey, Bella Langston has FSGS, and she knows what you're going through. Okay, in fact, I'm going to share this. She says focal segmental glomerulosclerosis or FSGS can be caused by a variety of conditions like diabetes, sickle cell disease, other kidney diseases, and obesity. Can also be caused by an infection and drug toxicity. Rare form of SGS is caused by inherited abnormal genes. So she has an understanding. It's powerful when you have other people that know what you're going through. And that's what's so beautiful, okay, about doing Warriors Quest, is that we can unite people that have a common ground, okay? And when we have common ground and you can understand that other people are experiencing or have experienced, the same thing, it can help you feel like you're not alone. And that can be powerful because you know what? Hope is so powerful, Kim.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Yeah. I actually have I don't know if you can see it, but my ring says hope. You probably can't.
Amen. Amen to that. Praise the Lord. I love hope. Okay. Hope is one of the things that I always search the scriptures for. And I always look for scriptures about hope. Okay. I do, because every day, even if we weren't going through this COVID-19, this pandemic, okay, hope would be something that anybody could use, whether they're going through financial, ruin, or if they're going through their mother or father dying, or maybe whatever it might be. Maybe, maybe the Denver Broncos just lost a football game and they're down in the dumps about that. I don't know. Okay. All right. That's me. That's really me, Mark. That's me.
That's right. But American football is football.
Right.
It's not soccer. Football, you use your feet.
It's not the real football, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You're saying about hope. You, Kim, will give someone else hope. You're gonna change someone's thinking one day without even knowing it, and they'll go away thinking, "Wow, she doesn't even know what she just done to me."
Yeah,
you're inspired.
Absolutely.
Here, you're probably inspired a whole bunch of people.
We have everybody talking right now. It's a beautiful thing, and it's the reason why I wanted to bring you on again, Kim, because, I do know that I remember that you shared that statement. I remember you shared, and you've talked about it online on Facebook and Instagram when that person's, said that, and you've expressed yourself on social media about that. And I know that it's caused you some emotional, pain. And I'm sorry that has done that. But, I wanted to bring you on because I wanted to give you more hope, because there is so much good in people. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that good I see in you. You have such a strong spirit, and the way you light up when you're talking about your daughter, it's beautiful. It's an emotional, inspiring story. And you're an amazing, beautiful person, and I mean that.
Thank you. I'm very thankful, and I think every time I tell my story about what Jesus did, it just, and even before I got on, I just prayed. I'm like, Jesus, just help me give you the glory that you deserve, because you're the one that did this. And I'm like, you just used me, and for him to use me. I always think about that. I'm like, for you to use me.
Why me?
This ordinary person.
Me?
Yeah.
Sorry, you just woke me up. Why me is one of the biggest things. the bad side of it. You look at the bad side first, like, why me? Of all these people, I lost my father 32, 33 years ago.
Okay.
He was my hero.
Yeah.
And you just go through life, and then it gets to me, and it's like he died at 52 years old. So
Okay,
I
wow.
was waiting like, oh my God, I'm going
That's
to get
very young.
52 years old, you know, it's
Yeah.
like, and then 42 years old, I get this. It's like, oh, okay, so we got the number wrong, but
All right.
I got something else wrong. So now my son he obviously is going to have a heck of a time, you know, with doctor's appointments, because he's obviously got now another list, like grandfather died of cancer, or father had this. So, you know, which is good, because you know what, he's probably going to be more healthy than any of us, because he knows what he's got to look out for. So
He knows what may come up. Yeah,
he's
he
just going to
can
have
see the
tattoos
story.
going on with what the list of things, you know. But no, hope is you know, even if you can't go into a hospital and you don't want to be around people, just that one person. The first time I spoke at a church, the woman that I first spoke to, she was going to commit suicide the week before.
Oh, wow.
And she told my wife, your husband, although at this point I was very muddled, I was on a lot of different drugs. You know, I was in pain still, but I stood up there, and it obviously made her think, you know what, this guy's battled, and yet what am I doing? I'm throwing my life away. So, but yeah, it's and spiritually, I mean, if you go on my website, Kim, I have a part that says heaven, and I have to convince myself that, not convince myself that it happened, but nothing is a coincidence. When something happens, it's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. It was supposed to happen. Today I was just really desperate. I mean, we financially, I'm on disability. My wife is on workman's comp, and it's just basically scary. You know, what
I'm showing it right here, Mark.
Everyone's going on about the stimulus stuff, and it's like, I got bills to pay, and then someone says it's not going to be for 2 weeks. But no, don't be sorry, because a blessing came to us, and it was like, that is crazy. That's an incredible thing, you know. And one day we can repay people, and it's, you know, just being around people. I know so many people now doing this. I mean, this is really a dream, because I want to be able to inspire people and walk away from this. And even if I never see anybody on here again, someone's going to say one day, hey, remember that guy? The guy with the West Virginian accent? He inspired me so much that I'm going to fight.
Right.
And I fought to live. I died so many times, and I'm still here. So.
Well, I think the hard part for me, because, you know, with my faith in Jesus, and there, I mean, people say, I'm praying for you. And I'm like, well, they were praying for healing.
No, this is the problem I have with Facebook. This is praying on Facebook. A little thing.
It can be.
You're not really going away to pray. You're just going to put this on there.
You know, well, the few people that I talk to now, I mean, I know that they will.
Yes.
But I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, the God of the universe can heal me, and I know that He can. But it's like, when He didn't do it, my very first thought is, I'm like, okay, you're doing this for a reason, and I think what He's doing, and I could be totally wrong, but maybe there's somebody in the hospital who's not a believer, and I can share my story and bring them to faith in Jesus.
Right. It very well could be. You know, God does work in mysterious ways. You know, one of the things that this broadcast has done is it's had Audrey comment, you know, tonight, and she has FSGS. I'd love, Audrey, if you could connect with Kim, that'd be awesome, because I think that, you know, if you and Kim, both of you, were to interact, I think it would be very encouraging for Kim, and I think that'd be a great thing. But that'd be awesome. You know, Jenny Marie, again, Kim, God has an amazing plan for you, Kim, to bring you hope in the future. While I know you don't have a family support, God is building a strong foundation around you and the friends who come beside you, helping you get your story out, because we simply love you. What an incredible story He is writing for you. And God does write our stories. He knows us, and He does stand by your side, even when you don't think He does.
Yeah.
Okay. He knows us better than we know ourselves. And, sometimes he works in mysterious ways. You've met some amazing people. And so even though you don't have the family support, sometimes family isn't always blood, and sometimes it's the relationships you build that become your family.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you've probably made it more of a family tonight. You've probably got a whole bunch of people that it is crazy. Just, unfortunately, I can't. When I started talking to Edward Drake with Why Not, just like I was saying, you have to be kind of honest sometimes. You have to, like the person that said the cancer thing, and don't be mean about it. But at the same time, last week or the week before, I'd done the Zoom meeting, and I've only met Edward. He's an African American. He came to see me in the hospital, and my mother was over from England, and I said to my mother, "Oh, this is my brother." We don't say that in England. It's an American thing.
It is, yeah.
It really is. And so she's like, "He's your brother? don't you think I should know about this?"
Right, like literally.
So obviously we come up with a brother from another mother. So when I went on to the the Zoom thing, I came on and there was 10 guys, and I'm right in the middle, and I'm the only white guy. And Edward said, "Oh, I see you." So I'm like, "Yeah, I think I'm in the wrong place though." So that just, that broke down every single barrier you can think of.
Because you said that, yeah.
Because I said that. And there's something about British people, we get away with anything. You all think we're clever, which we're not. We're completely dumb. But you know what? We were talking about the different African Americans going through this virus thing. It's hitting them pretty bad.
It is.
And also the education of there is a difference with organ-wise, when it comes to different things. So you have to kind of sometimes be pretty honest. The person that came up and said about cancer, that's like, that's none of your business. That's like, I'm sick, you're sick, end of story. But when you're, someone will come up to me and talk about my heart, and the worst one was, do you not realize how sick I am? I might not be here tomorrow. And they're like, well, I could get knocked down by a bus.
Oh my gosh.
No, I'm really sick. I'm on immune suppressants. I'm like, if I go out and I get a germ, I'm going to die. Or, when I was in the hospital, if I ran, something would happen. It's like, no, I'm sick. Yeah, but I could step outside this hospital. It's like, the chances of that happening, it's pretty slim. The chances of me not making it tonight, that's pretty high. That used to bug the heck out of me.
Yeah.
You learn to do that straight over your head.
Yeah, I usually just walk away.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to, because number one, I don't want them to see me cry.
Right.
And it down inside, I'm like, do they understand what they're saying? And, so yeah, I mean, it's just frustrating having, a disease that most people don't understand. And, and like you said, when we look fine, and I'm like, well, try being on the inside for just a few minutes and maybe you'll understand.
Yeah.
Because it's on the inside. And there's days that I have that are really good. And my friends will text me and say, how are you today? I'm like, this is a good day.
Yeah.
But the days I'm not, I'm like, holy crap. Can the hospital call me and say, we're ready? You're
right. You couldn't come any sooner. Yeah.
I know. Mm-hmm. And then when your friends say, how are you doing? And you say, yeah, I'm great. In their mind, although they could be your best friends, in their mind, they're thinking, wow, she's having a really good day. Maybe tomorrow's going to be even better. And then maybe she's going to get better. And they probably all know that you're, what you're going through. But unless, like a doctor will say to me, oh, I know how you're feeling. I know you're a doctor and you've done this for a long time, but you really don't know how that thing is literally stuck in me right now. And it's breaking, it broke one of my ribs.
Oh, wow.
And if I eat too much and thank goodness it's out. But even now I can still, there's nerves that were chopped. When you have the heart taken out, they literally have to sever the nerves. So believe it or not, if you have a heart attack, you can't feel the heart attack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different things. And yeah, so when the doctor says, how I feel, I'm like, yeah, you took my heart out, but you really don't know how I feel right now. Because we all feel different. And I'm sure as a kidney transplant, I don't know how that's, how that feels. I have no idea.
Well, I have so much respect and admiration for what Kim is going through, because I realize it's not an easy journey, and I'm hoping that we can bring some more awareness and more education, and have people have just a sliver, okay, maybe just a small, tiny understanding of what you may be going through, because it is something. Okay, you're eventually, if you continue to digress, and if it does happen, you know, your GFR has dropped before. And it can happen again. You know, there are cases where a GFR can decrease rather rapidly. If that happens, you may have to go on dialysis. And then on dialysis, you know, it's a whole different ball game, you know, and that can happen, and that's real. And if people don't understand, we need to try in some way, shape, or form, bring more awareness so that they can have, again, just a sliver, just a small glimpse, a small understanding of what that may be like for you. Okay. And that's the thing about what's going on right now with this pandemic, is that, you know, now the rest of the world is finally trying to, you know, I say most of them because we still have some yahoos that are out there, you know, thinking this is all made up and this is just a hoax. We still have some fools that are believing that, but most of the people, okay, are now, okay, taking it seriously. And we see people going out with masks. We see people going out and being careful. Okay. This is you, Kim, on a day-to-day basis. Even before the pandemic, you were thinking, I've got to be careful because you're weak. Your immune system's weakened. This was you, Mark, before COVID-19. You were already, you know, aware of, I got to be careful, you know, I can't go to, you know, a buffet, or I can't do this, and you've got to be careful, you know. Maybe I was already your world, and now other people are now more conscious of what it might be like. It's still not the same, because even though they're more aware of it, their immune system is still much higher and stronger, but it's a heightened sense of, you know, awareness now of germs and things like that. But that's what your world is like well before COVID-19, you know, and now other people are starting to think more about it. I mean, do you see that? I mean, my biggest frustration, and again, I don't want to get political because I know there's some people that want to get back to work, and I want the economy to be better too, but I want us to be safe. I want us to do it in a way that's good for our country, not make it worse, you know. So, but I don't want to get too political. But what I want to say is that I just want us, okay, to show courtesy. I want us to show love to one another. I want us to have respect for one another, okay. And I'll get off my soapbox, but I want people to know that kidney warriors go through so much. Okay. And I want people to understand that it's not an easy journey. Eventually, there is the kidney that needs to be transplanted. Otherwise, you may not have the quality of life that you ever had before. And it needs to happen. Even when you do get that transplanted kidney, you still have kidney disease, which is another misconception that many people have, is that you're out of the woods once you have a transplant. Mark knows that even with his transplant, it's a different normal. Okay. And that's what I want. I want a world where people take kidney disease warriors more seriously, and they understand that it is, okay, something that they struggle with. It's a real struggle. Okay. The struggle is renal.
Yep.
Very good.
Yep.
All right, I can breathe now. Thank you.
But as for you're saying about the kidney disease, you still got kidney disease. That was one thing. Don't ever be put off by even doctors that say. I remember when I had my LVAD in Cleveland, a doctor came in and said, you know, we can give you a heart transplant, but you're really only trading this problem for another problem. And you know, there's me hoping, like, I can't wait for transplant. This doctor says, well, you're trading for it. Yeah, you still have problems. And I'm like, oh my God. And then you start looking at statistics, which they say that I think it's 18 to 20, 25 or 30-year-olds when they get to that point and they've taken the rejection medication, they start thinking,
Yes.
I don't need this rejection medication. So statistics are, most of them die anyway, the young ones. But when you get to my age, you're like, I got to take this because I've got to live for another.
You're going to take it.
15,
You're
20
going to
years.
take it, and you understand the
Exactly,
importance. Yeah.
And then you come across someone that's had, I read something the other day, she's had her heart for 33 years. That gives me more hope. Because I'm hearing people, well, you know, I've lost more friends than I've ever had since I had my transplant. One of my friends, I never met him, but we talked, had LVAD. He passed away after his transplant. Just the other day, someone had their heart transplant for 2 years. So I'm like, wow. So, you know, what do? You just keep having to live. You can't look at that bad side. You got to look. I live for today. I don't live for tomorrow. I just got to do it. But yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well,
now,
and a transplant isn't a cure either. And most people need 2, sometimes 3 transplants.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And actually, there was a young lady on Instagram. She'd had 2 heart transplants, and I think she'd gone into modeling or something. I think she was fighting and pushing herself. I got on Instagram one day, and someone had put on there, sorry to say that so-and-so's passed away. And I'm like, she was like 24 years old. She was healthy. She was fit. But yet, there was something about that second one. You know, the reason why she had a second one, was it because something else was going on? Or, you know, it is tough. It's very tough. But really, I'm not scared of things. I mean, I still, you know, I still think about the bad things. But if you think about the bad things all the time, it's just, why bother now? You got to. And like I said, about my website, which is heartofmart.com, go on there, Kim, because it really has that thing about going to heaven. And 6 days before I had that major, basically the heart stopped, I was sitting in a class at church, my first class to go to church. So 6 days later, I ended up in hospital dead. So then I went to heaven.
Wow.
So that's pretty, yeah. It wasn't, I don't think it was a coincidence. I think it really happened for a reason. So
I agree. Yeah, I don't believe in coincidences.
And I want to, I know I'm not taking you away from this website, this Warriors, but tomorrow afternoon, I don't know where, you probably work, don't you? You just said you work.
Yeah, I'll be at work during that time myself, but Kim, you might be available.
Okay, so Edward, our Zoom meeting last week, there's everybody else, once again, I feel like I'm the odd one out because I'm the heart one. You're all the kidney people. It's like, my goodness, you must be really trying to get anybody. So one of our things was to find there are not any women in the Why Not kind of organization. So we was like, okay, so we're going to, how many women are you going to bring in? And I'm like, I don't know anybody, even with kidney things. So here I am with you, Kim, and one of my dear friends actually donated her kidney. So she's a living donor.
Living donor, right? Okay.
A living donor. It's just like, okay, I've got 2 of the best ones. So I'm gonna.
Nice.
If you're up for it, I'd love for you to just get in on the Zoom. You don't have to, you know, you can do 15 to 20 minutes, half an hour, however long. It's everybody likes to hear everybody else's story. Like I say, with kidney, I have no idea. Even though I have kidney disease, I'm now learning from you guys. So it's pretty awesome. I'm really here because of the transplant thing, because it's people. I think people are very scared about transplants, and then living donors. I mean, to know that you can actually, because I know there's 100,000 people waiting for a kidney. That's a lot of people. You want a heart, and that was scary until I looked at the top of the page, like 100,000 people, and you can get one from a living person. That's awesome, but yeah, still blows my mind.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still learning every day.
It's amazing. Yeah, I've learned so much. But just inspiring someone, like I say, with the Why Not organization is. I've made some amazing friends. I made one amazing friend to start with, and now I've got a whole, once again, all my brothers. So yeah, I'd love to invite you there. So if you can, if I can get your information somewhere. I didn't even realize that there was people were talking to me on here. I had no idea. That's why I keep doing that. Like, So I apologize, everybody that's listening and watching. I'm just
She's true, and I agree with you, Mark. And then I've got Mary says, I am a kidney pancreas D/T type 1 DM. So we're about at the end of the show, guys. We've gone over a little bit as well. So I want to say thank you. It's been awesome having you as a co-host, Mark.
you're welcome.
You've brought a different flavor, and I think your website is awesome.
Class to the whole thing.
That's right. I'm going to share my screen again just one more time and share your website again. Bear with me here. I'm going to share it just one more time. All right, so here we go. So we got heartofmark.com. This is his website, and I'm showing the Glimpses of Heaven, which is his link that he was talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is a great website. It has his story there, and I encourage anybody to go there, find out what he does and why he does what he does. Mark has an amazing story. I really appreciate you coming and co-hosting tonight. And then again, of course, thank you, Kim, for coming on as well.
Sure.
Truly amazing. You're a beautiful, amazing person. And I'm honored that you'd come on again and tell your story. I am very thankful that you came on again.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. I'll do it anytime.
And we did see your daughter fly across the room at one point.
We did once, yeah.
You saw what?
Or somebody did. I don't know who it was, but
Flying across the room. Yeah.
Hey, do you want to meet my daughter?
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
They want to meet you. Come here. Just for 1 second. Come here, Alexis. Alexis, they're on TV, honey. Come here.
Uh-oh.
Hold on. Here she's coming.
She's
Hi, Alexis.
There you go.
She said that's close enough.
All right. She looks paralyzed.
Hey, look over here. You
She's
say
not a
hi?
gymnast.
Hi, Alexis.
The way
They're
she
saying
done
hi.
that backflip across was amazing.
They said they saw someone fly
Yeah.
across the room. Oh, she said she flew across the room.
Yeah, I'm thinking TikTok.
Okay, all right.
No.
Okay.
I won't let her do TikTok.
Sorry, I do it.
Yeah,
No, it's.
I've heard a lot of pedophiles go to TikTok, but
Mhm.
Really?
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I've heard some bad things about it too. So my son doesn't do that either. But anyway, shout outs. Okay, Mark, any shout outs that you'd like to give? Any,
Oh my goodness.
any thank yous?
I want to thank my mother and father for actually giving me life.
All right.
No, my wife has been my tower of strength. And Kim, I don't know how you've got to be a heck of a strong woman. When you say, the support, you need support. And that's why I always say to people that the care workers are always the caregivers, not care workers. The caregivers are always forgotten. One of my friends said, "Oh no, the caregivers, they're just like, they don't realize what we go through." It's like, what? I think you should be a little nicer to your wife because she's the one that makes the dinner, does this, does that.
Mhm.
So, all the staff at the different hospitals, just friends around town. I mean, it is amazing. I could keep going all night and thanking people, but this is awesome, Jared. I appreciate you inviting me on here because it's this is something that we want to develop in the Healing Hearts and the other organizations that I'm doing. And Kim, she's on screen now. She likes the fame now on the back in the back.
Oh,
Alexis is still in the background. Yeah.
But no, no. If you can share, I don't know how I can get it, but then we'll do the Zoom thing tomorrow. I think it's at 3:00.
Sure.
So yeah, if you can be my right hand woman along with my left hand woman. So. And then see if anybody else has found any advocates and things. So, But yeah, I appreciate it. It's been awesome.
You're welcome, man. It's my pleasure. And any shout outs that you want to give, Kim?
Your daughter.
Well, yeah. I mean, she's a champ. She really is. Having a sick mom, and she knows that I have to. And she went to every single transplant appointment. Bless her heart. She had to.
Really? Wow.
Never complain. Oh my gosh.
Uh-huh.
She's just a champ. I mean,
Trooper.
she deserves an award or money or something.
She had
Or
money.
she just said,
a lot of it.
or she just said AirPods.
Or AirPods.
They're too expensive.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they're still on here, but definitely to Cindy and Morgan and Jenny just for being there. And there's another guy, Termel. I don't think he's on here. I haven't seen him. I've met Cindy once, like I said, but the other three I haven't met. They just kind of took me under their wing and it's I don't know. The whole thing's just amazing. And actually, they each. Termel had a transplant 2 years ago.
Okay.
Jenny just had a transplant a week and a half ago, and Morgan had one 2 months ago. So I'm like, well, is my time coming? God's up to something.
He is, yeah.
I'm curious to know what it is. So I just want to thank them for their support.
Yeah.
And you.
Well, thanks, Alexis. Thanks for popping in, Alexis.
He says thanks for popping in.
Well, thanks, Kim. Thanks, Mark. Seriously, thank you very much for coming on, guys. I appreciate it. Have a very blessed evening, okay?
And you.
All right. And I'll talk to you soon, Mark.
Yes. Thanks, Kim. Thanks, Jared.
You're welcome.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you guys.
Bye.
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 All right, guys. So we've heard from Kim, and we've had a great co-host in Mark Sandy. Please check out his website. I want to thank our sponsor, Renadil, okay, the makers of Renadil Kibo. Please look down at the bottom for our sponsor. You can follow the website and look up Renadil. Again, I'm so thankful that Kim came on. Please, everybody, give her the support, okay? Make sure that she feels loved. Make sure that she understands that she's not alone in what she's feeling, that you all understand what she may be going through. All right. Understand that she can have down days, a bad day, and that one of us can lift her back up. Okay. We want to give her hope. So please reach out and support her. I'd like to see more comments and please give her some love. All right. Give her some support. And let's lift her up the best way we can as a community. Okay. Thanks everybody for watching tonight. Thanks for your following. All right. And I'm looking forward to everybody coming together, and let's make sure that Kim, all right, feels our love and support. Thank you.